welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a review on the Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy Eyeshadow Palette. If you do want to see a review and a demo, please keep watching. This is what the packaging looks like. It says Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy Eyeshadow Palette. It is super cute. I love the two little gingerbread people. When you turn it over on the back, you do have the shade names here as well as a little description about the eyeshadows. So let's go ahead and open this up. This is what the actual eyeshadow palette looks like. It comes in their Too Faced tin packaging. The eyeshadow palette looks exactly the same as the outer packaging. So let's go ahead and open this up. Here we have all of the shades, and it does come with a pretty nice mirror as well. Also in the box you do get this little pamphlet here, and it does have different looks you can create with it. So it's super helpful. So you can create different eyeshadow looks, and then on the back it's the same as well. This eyeshadow palette retails for $49 on TooFaced.com, Sephora, and Ulta Beauty. I do want to read a couple of details on this eyeshadow palette. It does say Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy Eyeshadow Palette is an 18-pan eyeshadow palette full of warm, spicy colors inspired by the rich flavors and colors of fresh baked Christmas treats. Turn up the heat with this gingerbread palette baking with warm, sexy, smoldering shades. Achieve rich and spicy daytime looks, piping hot nighttime look, and everything in between with 18 shades that smell like yummy gingerbread cookies. There are some benefits on here. It says sheer to highly pigmented shades for a variety of gorgeous looks. Highly pigmented for one swipe payoff. Creamy texture, applies and wears like a dream. Smells like yummy gingerbread, and it is cruelty free. I do want to smell the inside of this eyeshadow palette. I'm not getting any gingerbread or Christmas cookie scent to it. It smells like vanilla. Hopefully the shades in this eyeshadow palette makes up for the smell that it's supposed to be in there. So let's go ahead and start swatching. The first shade in the top row is called Vanilla Wafers. Ooh, so buttery in the pan. Here's what Vanilla Wafers looks like. Vanilla Wafers is described as a matte cream shade. Let me just blend this out. I like this shade so far. The next shade in the palette is called Cookie Cutter. It's a little bit scratchy in the pan. Let me see if we can rub it in a little bit more. There we go. We have a little bit of butteriness. Here's what Cookie Cutter looks like. Cookie Cutter is a soft peach gold shade. That's a very pretty shadow. Let's just blend this out like we did the first shade. Blends out really nicely as well. The next shadow is called Soft and Sweet. Ooh, I love this matte shade. It's very buttery in the pan, just like the first matte shade was. And here's what that shade looks like. Soft and Sweet is described as a matte pink brown shade. The shade in Soft and Sweet isn't that pigmented, so I am going to try to build it up. It's a little bit better now. The next shade is called For the Gram. Ooh, it's so buttery in the pan once again. Here's what that shadow looks like. For the Gram is a matte peachy brown shadow. This would be a great transition shade blended out. The shade in For the Gram is extremely subtle. It blends in with my skin complexion. I am going to be building it up. You can build this shade up if you want. The next shade is called In a Pinch. Another buttery soft shadow. I love when matte shades are super soft in the pan. Here's what that shade looks like. In a Pinch is described as a matte deep pumpkin shade. That is a beautiful shadow. Let's blend her out. The last shade in the top row is called Drizzle It. That's what that shadow looks like. Drizzle It is described as a burnt rose gold. I love the shimmer shadows so far. The matte shades are a little bit too subtle for me. I did have to build up the pigment. I like the matte shades. They are very buttery in the pan so far. The next shade in this eyeshadow palette is called Lick the Spoon. And here's what that shadow looks like. Lick the Spoon is described as a pink gold with a silver pearl. That's a really pretty shimmer shadow. The next shade is called Spicy Mami. It's a little bit scratchy in the pan. I would expect that from a glitter shadow. Here's what that shadow looks like. Spicy Mami is described as an orange copper glitter shadow. It's very pigmented. I do want to blend out this shadow. Blends out pretty nicely. The next shade is called Extra Spicy. another soft, buttery matte shadow. And here's what Extra Spicy looks like. Extra Spicy is described as a matte red-orange shadow. It's very pigmented. I can see myself using both of these shades. The next shade is called Half Baked. Really nice and soft in the pan. It does crumble a bit, but here's what Half Baked looks like. Half Baked is described as a brown mustard metallic shade. The next shade is called Butterscotch. Another matte shade. Wow, I love how consistent these matte shadows are. Butterscotch is described as a matte mustard yellow shade. The next shade is called Cookie Call. This is not as buttery in the pan as the previous matte shades were. Here's what Cookie Call looks like. Cookie Call is described as a matte mahogany shadow. That's a little bit patchy. Let's try to build it up. So these are not one swipe pigment as it was described in the details. They are buildable. The first shade in the last row is called Plenty of Dough. Ooh, it's very soft. Here's what Plenty of Dough looks like. Plenty of Dough is described as a soft peach shade. I'm not a huge fan of the shadow. It's not as pigmented, so let's kind of blend her out. Okay, that's a little bit better. It still looks ashy on my skin complexion. The next shade is called Candy Queen. Again, the chunks of glitter are falling out. And here's what Candy Queen looks like. Candy Queen is described as a yellow brown with gold pearl. Again, I'm not a huge fan of this shadow either. When you drag it out with your finger, it doesn't come all the way. So how is this one swipe pigment? It's not. I'm gonna build it up and blend it out. That's much better. Since we are running out of arm space, I am going to be swatching the last 4 shadows on the right side of my hand. The next shade is called Gingerbread Glam. Another soft, buttery matte shadow. And here's what Gingerbread Glam looks like. Gingerbread Glam is described as a rustic brown shade. The next shade is called Hot Tamale. Not as buttery as the previous shadow. Hot Tamale is described as a soft ruby pink shade. The next shadow is called Cinna-Moan. I don't like that name. I definitely think Too Faced could have selected another name. I feel like Cinammon would have been better. Here's what Cinna-Moan looks like. This shade is described as a matte brick brown shade. The last shade in the palette is called Midnight Snack. I don't like how it feels in the pan. It feels very chunky. Here's what Midnight Snack looks like. Midnight Snack is described as a deep blue with an icy blue white sparkle. I do not like the last 4 shades. They were a bit scratchy in the pan. They weren't as buttery. This side I love. Here we have all 18 shadows applied on the back of my hand. Now we're going to create a look using this eyeshadow palette. The first shade I am going to be dipping into is in the shade For the Gram. I'm going to be applying that shade all over my crease. I really do like how that shadow did blend out in my crease. I'm going to swap out my brush and I'm going to grab a packer brush. The next shade I'm going to be grabbing is Extra Spicy. I'm going to be packing that all over my lid. I am getting a little bit of fallout from the shade in Extra Spicy, but I do like how it does look on my lid. The next shade I am going to be dipping into is in the shade Lick the Spoon. I'm going to be using my finger for this one, since we do have a lot of chunks that are falling out. I'm going to be applying that in the center of my lid. The shade in Lick the Spoon has a ton of fallout as well. I would recommend doing your eye makeup first and then your face makeup. Going back in using that same brush, I'm going to dip into the shade For the Gram again, and we're going to define that crease. Here's how everything is currently looking like. I will be cleaning up everything underneath my eye. I do want to do one last thing, is the inner corner. I'm going to be taking a little bit of the shade in Half Baked. We're going to apply that in our inner corner. I really do like how adding the shade in Half Baked in my inner corner gave my eye look a little bit more of a pop. I'm going to clean all the fallout underneath my eyes, add mascara and a lip, and I'll be right back for my final thoughts. I added mascara and a lip. For mascara, I went in with my Too Faced Deluxe Size Better Than Sex Mascara. And then for lips, I currently have on the Sephora collection in Snow Day. If you guys have not seen that lip swatch video, I'll link it right over here in the cards. My final thoughts on the Too Faced Gingerbread Extra Spicy Eyeshadow Palette is that I really do like this eyeshadow palette. Some shades in the palette were a little bit chunky. I do feel like I can use every shade in this palette. Some of the shades in this eyeshadow palette did have a ton of fallout, like this metallic shade in Lick the Spoon. This other metallic shade in Candy Queen Half Baked had a ton of fallout as well. A lot of the shimmer shadows had a ton of fallout. When I swatched these shades on the back of my hand, they did have a ton of fallout. The reason why I do like this eyeshadow palette, not because of the shimmer shades, because of the matte shadows in this palette. They're extremely buttery, they're blendable, they're buildable. I really thought at first I was not going to like this eyeshadow palette. They were going to be too ashy for me, they weren't going to look good on me, but after I did blend them out on the back of my hand, they look pretty good. I do have to play with this eyeshadow palette more, but so far so good, you guys. I really do like this eyeshadow palette. If you guys did enjoy this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video.